Okay, for the assignments that require research, we're going to be using MLA Style citation. Our MLA Style guide is in our textbook. It begins on page 136. However, I've also included a link to the Purdue Online Writing Lab, or OWL, and their discussion of MLA citation, which you're probably already familiar with. It's kind of the classic online resource for college students using MLA. MLA is pretty basic. There are a few things to keep in mind. One is that in the text of your document, you need to cite to your sources. So I'm expecting for the rough draft of the letter assignment to have 2, at least, sources that are cited in the body and then included on a works cited page. For the final draft, I'll expect 4 sources to be cited in the body and then listed in the works cited. If you don't cite them in the body, you can't use them on the works cited. And furthermore, if I can't use the information on the works cited to find and verify the source for myself, you can't count it. So this information is important. But like I said, it's easy. In-text citation and MLA documentation is very easy. If you have an author's name and a page number, you include that information in parentheses at the end of the sentence or end of the clause, if that makes more sense given the context. Note that the period here is outside the parentheses. The final word, space, open parentheses, author's name, space, no comma, nothing else, no abbreviations, just page number, close parentheses, period. That's in-text citation. In most cases, though, if you're doing it right, you should be introducing the information from the source using the author's name, or in the case of an organization or government report, the name of the organization, government agency or department or whatever it is, as part of the setup for that information. And then, in parentheses, the page numbers. The author's name is what indicates to the reader where to find that information on the works cited page. The page numbers then, of course, indicate to the reader where in that source to locate that information. Most of your electronic digital sources will not have page numbers, and so in that case, you could simply end with a period as long as it's clear from the author's name where to find the source in the works cited. If you scroll through, you'll see a lot of advice on outside cases, electronic sources, or sources without sufficient information to indicate an author or the like. Any questions, you can always come to me, but using the MLA guide in your textbook or referring to the Purdue OWL if you need further clarification should answer most of your questions. If you've never done an MLA works cited page, it's pretty simple. It's just basic bibliographic information. Please remember that you need to alphabetize by author's last name. That will become increasingly important the more sources you have, but you should get it right from the very start. In MLA Style, we capitalize our titles and we italicize the titles of books and reports. Articles that are included in periodicals get put into quotation marks. And for your periodical sources, there's also extra information that you need, including the volume number and issue number of academic research publications. We'll talk more about that in a bit. And in magazine and newspapers, you would need to get the date. There are models that you can use to help formulate your own citations. Take careful note of the use of abbreviations, the use of punctuation, and other issues. Note that every article will also have the name of the periodical in which it was published identified. I had you work with that on the library research exercise, and that's going to continue to be an important piece of information to take note of every time you locate sources online. On page 147 of your text, there is an example of a works cited page. Once again, take note that it's alphabetized by author, and if there is no author, Then you go right to the title. Periodicals have name of the periodical in which it appears. Academic periodicals that publish research papers will have volume number, issue number. These all will have page numbers. They may be the only thing other than books that actually have page numbers that you have to refer to. But all that information will be necessary. Here's the more extensive information in the Purdue Online Writing Lab. Note that there are citation machines which can be used to develop a citation for you, but you should always check the result of the citation machines, or if you find a citation in the source itself, against the rules listed in our MLA Style Guide, because these machines are often not fully correct, and you'd want to make sure they conform to the rules that you're being asked to abide by. How important is this? In the grand scheme of things, it's not terribly important. However, demonstrating that you are able to identify the appropriate rules for documenting your sources and then being able to do so accurately and consistently is part of the game in writing, and demonstrating that you are a person capable of playing by the rules of the game and that you are to be taken seriously in it. So it does count, even if it doesn't count perhaps as much as the content and the remainder of the organization and formatting rules, but it's still an important consideration of your grade for these assignments.